story. A new survey shows that cyber incidents are now a major concern for businesses in and around the world. Companies are now less worried about things like natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic, just to name a few. To help us unpack the study, let's speak to Kevin Barnes, Chief Financial Officer of financial services and insurance company Allianz here in South Africa. Kevin, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. I guess it wouldn't be surprising that businesses for this year will be most worried about cybersecurity and that, how could that affect businesses and also, of course, critical infrastructure blackouts. I mean, you don't even need to mention the word ESCOM.
Afternoon, Mr. Monyani. Thank you for having Allianz on your show.
Afternoon, Kevin. So your study, did you do it over the last year? When was this study and who participated in it?
Certainly. So this is the 11th issue of the Allianz Risk Barometer. We've done it for 11 years. We do it annually. The survey is done over 2 months at the end of last year. We surveyed 2,650 risk experts around the world from 89 different countries. So we've got a really good cross-section of what is happening around the world in this risk management space.
Okay, and this Allianz Risk Barometer, you said, how often has it highlighted cyber security or incidents around cyber safety as a key concern for businesses?
Yeah, so it has steadily over the years, Mr. Monyani, it has been going up the ranks. It is top of the global risks at the moment. It is top of South Africa, top of Africa. So it has steadily moved up. And with the ransomware attacks that have been common practice of late, it's understandable that it has climbed so high. In 2021, the estimated cost of cyber attacks on the global economy is estimated to be $20 billion US. What's more concerning is that over the next 10 years, that is expected to increase to 265 billion. So clearly this is a growing risk. This is an important risk that every business needs to understand, especially in light of the digitalization of businesses around the world and closer to home, the pandemic, remote working, people working from home. It just made systems more vulnerable. People aren't sitting in offices anymore. So all of this has culminated in cyber becoming one of the most important risk factors around the globe.
Yeah, I'm fascinated, but I mean, understandably so. And since the advent of coronavirus pandemic, COVID-19, of course, we are all of us using digital platforms like you and I are now talking remotely via this platform. Ordinarily, you would be in the studio in the old days, so to speak. But I would have thought climate change could be very high up as well. And I'm saying this, just look at what happened in the last few weeks in our country with the storms we've seen in parts of South Africa like KZN, the Northwest, affecting even the start of the schooling year of 2022 and destroying infrastructure, bridges and all of that. And just last week, I interviewed 2 scientists around the issue of El Niño, the La Nina effect, that's bringing so much rain. And the expectations we might be getting more and more severe cyclones affecting our part of the world. How does the world, risk-wise, the world of business, view climate change and its impact?
So climate change is just one portion of it, Mr. Monyani. I agree with you. It is becoming more and more relevant. But the question isn't the climate change itself. It is the impact on business, which is of a concern to Allianz. So one of the risks that we find in the top 2 in South Africa is business interruption. Change is having an effect on businesses, and that is what is a concern for Allianz. So if I use a very quick example, if you are making bricks and you pull your clay out of a quarry down the road, and there's a storm and that quarry floods, you aren't able to get that clay out, and that is a business interruption risk. And so the indirect effect from climate change is how it affects business and how resilient businesses can be to get back on their feet again.
Yeah, and what about the pandemic? We're still there?
We are still there, but I find it quite fascinating that pandemic has slid down in a number of territories. I think people are quite confident, 1.5 to 2 years in, that we can obviously do this. I think it bodes well for the world economy. So yes, I think people think that pandemic is fine. and we seem to have mastered it working from home. So that bodes well for the world economy, and we just got to make sure that business interruption is well planned in our risk management structures, and bodes well for us going forward.
Okay, and finally, Kevin, I need to ask you this. Politically, I mean, there are always risks. And when it comes to the African continent, for example, and also us, I mean, this year is a big year for the governing party. The ANC in December is going to go to its national elective conference, and there's all kinds of challenges. What about politics and security? Where does it feature in terms of the business, in terms of use of Allianz's risk barometer?
Yes, so in terms of the Allianz risk barometer, it's different in different territories. We have found that, obviously, more unstable political territories, it's higher up the radar. But yes, it is quite high on most countries, even outside of Africa. So it's always a concern for business, and it's part of that resilience that we need to have to be able to be prepared for instances of instability so that business can continue.
Okay, thank you very much for your time there and some insights from that Allianz's risk barometer.